Hey, what's going on? It's Monday, the 26th September, 2016. It's been a while. I did promise that I would do a podcast from London, but I totally didn't get around to it, and actually skived the whole week, which is yeah. This is this is how I start my podcast usually. Completely forgetting what I'm trying to say. But I'd like to. Oh, this is way too loud. I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine. We have a special podcast here. As one of my good friends, I have spoke about him before in the podcast. He's also a subscriber, one of the
millions.
Millions. One of the few. Kristian Young, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here with you, Chris.
Good, very good to hear it. So we've got a few things to talk about. First off, my good friend here, Kristian, is recovering from an ACL injury at the minute, which has been plaguing your life for how long?
This is the thing. Everyone who knows me is sick of hearing about it, sadly, which is that because it's been going on for so damn long.
Yeah.
It's been November 2015. It was when I did the incident. Now I've had an operation almost a year later. It's kind of crazy.
What happened at the incident there?
The incident, well, this is when I kept getting asked by the doctors what happened. They were like, you played football, you went for a run. I was like, no, I was at a gig. And then ultimately you can see them kind of looking at you thinking, oh God, he was hammered, which was true. It was at a gig, and it's just like it was at Halloween. We were dressed as sexy cats, which was pretty nice. And someone who was definitely as big as me, pretty big,
How
6
big?
foot,
6
like
foot?
yeah, pretty sure I weigh like 15 stone, something like that, painting a lovely image here. Came like barrel rolling into me as I was like half in the air, jumping up and down. And I mean, as anyone who's been to a gig before, you know what it's like. It was it's all kind of all over the place. It was like an electronic gig, like a Halloween party thing, so it was a little bit of a mess. We were all a little bit of a mess. It was great. It was about 3:45 in the morning.
The young man's London life.
Absolutely, yeah, living the London life at the time. Brixton Academy, which I now can't go anywhere near, or when I do go, I have to stand at the back, which is kind of annoying because we go to plenty gigs, and now I'm finding myself.
Fear thing that you've done it there. You don't want to do the same thing again in the same spot.
Absolutely, that's the thing that other people, everyone who's in sporting or any of that stuff like that, career-wise or just recreationally, gets this injury. It's so common, and I didn't do it that way, so I'm like gagging to go back and just play a bit of football. That's all I want to do. Like, just play a bit of five-a-side. Yeah. Whereas you ask anyone else and they're like, nah, I'm not going, never playing football again. I'm like, that's the whole point of you getting the rehab, is so you can go back and play
start
a game.
Again.
And everyone's like, nah, shaking their head. Whereas for me, I'll never ever go in the middle of call it a mosh pit or whatever you want to call it. I'll never go back in that.
It's a shame because that's kind of how we grew up the last 10 years or so, doing that type of thing. I wasn't at many of them, but it was always get involved in the mosh pit, wasn't it?
That's it. Well, yeah, God, since before we even knew you, we were going to gigs that were just ridiculous. How someone didn't get injured at those rock gigs from, I don't know, I remember going
trampled, like when you fall over.
Yeah,
they're good there, though, aren't they? They pick you straight back up. Like, how
that's the spirit of that was kind of. That was missing from this gig where I did this. I'm a bit older now, obviously, but when we were younger, when you're like 15, 16, used to go see every bands from like Enter Shikari to, I don't know, all those like the emo bands. And Newcastle had a massive scene. We used to go and do all that stuff, and never once got remotely injured. But I remember it being absolutely crazy. I don't know if just because we were younger, and now you're getting, maybe it's just because you get older, you get a bit more fragile. 25 now.
Do you feel 10 years older than 15?
That's a horrible thought, isn't it?
10 years.
10 years, a decade has passed.
Half of your life.
Well, when this happens, stuff like this happens, yeah.
Yeah.
And I look back and we see photographs come and pop up on Facebook now, back in the day then, and yeah, it does feel that long ago. I think it does. Because time goes so quick.
Yeah, do you know what it does? So I've been teaching at my old high school. I was there today, and I'm 25. I guess we came out at 18. So it's been what, 7 years. And do you know what it feels? It didn't, and before you so for you maybe it does, but for a lot of people they say, oh, I can't, it feels like 2 seconds ago that I was in high school. But when you go back, you're so forgotten there as a do you know what I mean though? nothing of what you, apart from a couple of teachers, nothing of what you left behind is still there. Like in terms of people, in terms of even like the paintings on the school hall now, there's a load of gay pride stuff in the school hall. There's a load. They brought the pizzas and chips back. Remember when they cut all that out with Jamie Oliver?
Yeah, they brought that back.
That's all back. Pizzas and chips and cake.
Mercy.
Speaking of school, I spoke about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. A certain story where I was talking about remember the supply teacher story? Did you listen to it?
I did listen. I listened. I'm an avid listener of this podcast, Chris. I listened to all of it. I heard
What's
that
your
one.
take? What's your take of it?
So this is the one where you
Framed you?
you framed me to a supply teacher where I was staring at her boobs. Apparently, they were. I remember them being large. Yeah, back in as a child, everything you basically say what you see.
Yeah, unfiltered.
Yeah, and I just remember that was the most horrific moment of my life because I'm pretty sure I wasn't staring at them in the way that you
were insinuating that you were staring at them. You probably weren't, but you're insinuating as a joke to me that you were staring at them.
Maybe, perhaps.
But she,
how sad.
That thing where she pinned
so
at her.
Upsetting. So upsetting for
hilarious.
her. I feel bad. I feel very bad.
Oh, that's
if she's one of the 8 or 9 listening,
do you apologise?
I fully apologise. Yes, absolutely.
Great.
On your behalf for doing that horrendous moment.
I'll take that. I thought it was hilarious. Do you know, that'll live with me for a long time.
Do you one thing I think about when you're talking about going into school is I can remember the varnish, or it wasn't varnish, but it must have been like duster spray that they would spray on the wooden. It's just the most vivid thing. I don't know why I'm remembering this. Like a cleaner spray that they would spray on the wooden. We had walls that were made out of wood paneling.
Yeah.
And that smell, I've just got it in my nose right now. I don't know why I've got that. Is that still there? Are they still doing that? Because you used to buffer the floor.
Yeah, you used to buffer the floor with those things.
And that had a smell.
Right.
And then this wood had a smell, and it was oily, I remember, and you used to lean up against it. All conversations would be had up against this kind of wooden wall.
With that scent.
I've got that in my head now. Does that come back to you when you go there?
Nah.
No. You don't know what. Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I need to go back.
Do you know as well? 50% of the schools just been rebuilt in the last 10 years.
Oh, gentrification.
Yeah. Do you know? It always seems to be the case. I think a lot of people can relate. It always seems to be the case that when you leave school, all the good stuff comes. You know, like all the new technology, the new like. Yeah,
you'll think that forever. Like, I went to Leeds University, stayed there for 3 years. Left the city, come back to it, and I think, oh my God, I can't believe they have this now. They have this now. They have new everything. Whereas at the time, 3 years before that, people would have been saying that about whatever we were doing.
Yeah, definitely. And which was the case, especially with university I went to. I know a guy who did it a few years before me. And again, we had the new gear and all that stuff. And now everyone's got the Canon stuff, like all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just relevant to your time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think you were initially talking about my ACL, to jump back to it.
Well, yeah, the ACL, so it's back on the mend. So it's
reconstructed.
Right.
It's been reconstructed. That's why we're here.
Is the metal in the knees?
There's no metal. There's a plastic plug, 2 plastic plugs apparently.
It's healed really well.
It has healed well. We're looking at it right now as it's iced on the sofa here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, God, I'm sure that from what I've gathered from reading online is that people are, and myself too, desperate in these situations when you have any little, it's just a routine op, I would say, for them, but it's still major knee surgery, they class it as. And people are desperate to know what every single pain and every single hiccup that you have and you go through. I'm on the forum within a second. So that's the thing. I would have loved to have had a better system online, because you can't be with your doctors for these things all the time, and you get everything from a sharpshooting pain to something swells to crazy bruising and all these colours that you've never seen, that you just would never come across unless you had something like this done. Yeah. And they've grafted like 1/9 of people's hamstrings here. Can you imagine, like, just to lose that thing that you walk and you don't understand
all the time? Yeah.
And then, so there's forums after forums of people who it ranges from get yourself to A&E with that problem to absolutely no problem with what you're feeling. That's I'd feel like there's a bit of a it would be great to have a better support group where it all was, rather than it being across like 400 forums online.
Yeah, you want that one.
Because you want to tell, I feel like, I want to tell, not that everyone is interested, there'll be 1% of people interested in it, but I want to tell the full story from start to finish with every little thing that happens, so that someone else can relate and go, oh, actually, you know what, the pain that you have in there, or that worry that you've got, someone else has been through it in that way. I guess you could say this about absolutely everything, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, anything that you go through in life.
Well, there's something about when you injure yourself. Or do you know it's on a more minor scale? You know when you get like a mouth ulcer, and you go, I can't remember what it was like to not have a mouth ulcer. Is it a bit like that when you've got this injury? Can you have you forgotten what it's like to not live with this injury?
Yeah, completely.
Well, yeah.
And you know what? This isn't. I mean, it's not even dramatic. You know, I've got everything is fine. People have horrendous injuries or illnesses. Yeah, everything like that. Of course, but for you, not being able to do the tiny things that you want. You know, not being able to go when it's just crazy little things like you get upset about not being able to go when people do trampolining or something like that.
Yeah.
It's so trivial, and you don't need that in your life. But to you, you know, like you say, when you get a mouth ulcer, you can't remember what it's like to eat food for a week without having an ulcer. But it becomes because it's your own thing and it's your own problem. It's like the same when people say that they've got no money, but you know that they're earning loads of money because they spend up to that money, and then if it comes down a little bit off that amount that they've been used to having, that level of comfort they've been used to having, then it comes down a touch, they suddenly feel under pressure like they're poor again, and really they're earning hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's the same thing, like whatever you're used to, and then it gets some part of it gets taken away can be huge for you. Anyway, that's not what's happening here. Anyway,
you've come back. We're in a lovely. Literally, as far as Whitley Bay goes, this is the skyscraper of Whitley Bay.
Skyscraper, yeah.
We're on the 10th floor. This is as high a point in Whitley Bay as it gets.
Yeah.
We are on the top floor, looking out over the lovely coastline. You've been sat here for 2 weeks. You're quite an outgoing guy. What hardships has that been? Just to kind of, because you can see life out here. You're on the 10th floor. You can see it. You obviously want to do stuff. You know what, you find it as a blessing to come back from London out to the sea air, the open air. What's kind of been, how have you kind of coped with that whole mental, it's got to be a mental thing of just going, for God's sakes.
I think with them, and like I say again, for this with me, it's fine because I knew from the moment you get out that it's on its way to getting better. You can feel it every day.
Yeah.
And obviously there are people who are not in that situation, or where they're stuck in a place where they aren't going to get any better. There's so many people that even we know in that situation, which is a total different space. But yeah, I mean, temporarily there's just the complete itch of wanting to get out and go back and do anything, that even, you know, to walk to the beach and not be able to do it without like a brace, and to think actually I can't actually do it today is kind of crazy. But it also just gives you, like I said, like when you've got hope with it getting better, and it gives you something to be able to look out there and think, or be able to see, you know, everything on social media of people doing all this great stuff that you've done or that you're doing, and to know that you're going to get back to it is
I bet.
Yeah, that's actually, it's motivating rather than
depressing.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. But that is only because you know that you're going to get better from it. It's a total different kettle of fish if you're in that same situation, and there's no, or if there was doubt, I could imagine that being, obviously there's a certain
level of doubt. Or if you were dealing
doubt
with being paralysed for the first time, imagine coming out of the hospital and being...
Of course.
Imagine that.
Well, yeah, that's not even on the same scale. It's
well, you were paralysed for a week or so, ish. Not paralysed, but
but it's so different because it's just temporary.
That's what I'm saying. So that hope is kind of the big factor, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I think as well, like it's. Well, I don't know what I was going to say there.
You're being on painkillers?
Yeah, that's the painkillers there coming through.
What, the numbness?
Mind block.
Oh, really?
No.
Has there been any side effects to any of the drugs you've been on?
Do you know, like, we've got friends who've had the same thing, and people have been through loads of major operations, and you know, obviously it happens to everybody at some point, or most people, and you hear horror stories of codeine and people knocking you out, and, you know, all sorts of crazy things going on, which I'm sure happens all the time. I've been very lucky. I've cruised through the whole thing. I've been pretty much working the whole time on the laptop. God knows what the work quality has been like. We'll see when I look back on it in a couple of weeks.
The drugged work quality.
The drugged up work quality, yeah. Just plenty of painkiller. It's been fantastic, to be honest.
So you're anticipating being back to work? That's it.
I'm technically back now. Back on the way, back down to London soon, away from this beautiful place.
When can people when can people
expect me to be walking around?
To be playing your first football match?
Oh, I think
when
that's
can
a year down the line.
Come down?
Yeah, I tell you what has helped with the with the when I go back to Whitley Bay, I'll have your beautiful drone film to look back on.
Yes,
to be able to see, to remember the 10th floor view that we've got here.
Thank you. Yes, the drone video has been released.
It's out there.
It's out there. I will speak about that tomorrow. There will be a dedicated podcast on kind of the experience of that. There's something interesting happened with that. But that will be tomorrow's episode.
Are we not allowed to do any spoilers in that case?
Well, we can do a promo.
Okay, I'll try to think of how to promo it.
Well, you've just mentioned it.
I have. It's got virality. It's got. Is that the right word? Virality. I'm going to use
vitality.
No, not vitality, as in it's gone viral.
Oh well, that was a spoiler more than a promo.
That's a spoiler, but yeah, okay, sorry, it's spoilt. You'll have to cut it out, unfortunately.
No, there's no editing on this part. It's done well, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. You've done really well to recuperate. Wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
For the future.
Yeah, we'll come back in six months. Back in 1 year.
And just
have a full
evaluate.
ACL podcast.
Well, that's the thing. I'm away in April, haven't I? So the listeners know. How's that bend? He's trying to bend his right knee all the way. You can get a right angle there.
Yeah, that's over 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm. It's very positive.
Mm-hmm.
We're positive today. It's beginning to feel like autumn now, isn't it? Jumpers have been on. Jumpers are on now. After, I think, a delayed last couple of weeks in summer, I would have thought like almost the last 2 weeks of September have been.
I couldn't believe that the weather I've had since I've been here. I was expecting doom and gloom, and it has been outstanding. Everyone in London's been.
I told you so. I'll say it again. It's
that global warming, innit? It's that global warming.
Well, it's weird. You've got that shift. Like I say, in December, the last few Decembers have been 8-9 degrees on Christmas Day. And it's but it can't be that instant, surely. Because I remember it being cold in December once upon a time, and not long ago.
People year in, year out are surprised, shocked, and can't believe the weather. I'm sure we'll be like that forever. We're just British, aren't we? I don't think there's.
Do you know it's because there's so much variation?
Yeah, there is, but like every single year, it's like, I can't believe this, and this has gone up, and this is. It'll keep going like that.
That's one thing. Do you know why we have Do you know why I start the podcast with the weather report, and why I think us Brits, most of our conversation is weather based, is because there's so much the weather can do. You get every season here, and you get apart from tornadoes and hurricanes.
Nothing that's too dangerous, really, but we get bad flooding.
We
get the best of it, really. I think I love the seasons.
But sometimes. Well, do you know what? The one season that lacks is summer. Usually, we're never. If one season is going to sacrifice, London's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah,
smog. What was I going to say? In terms of Britain as a whole, can you think of one thing that can kill us, like wildlife?
No wildlife.
Is there anything? I know adders are poisonous, but I don't think it's
people.
life-threatening.
The people are probably the most dangerous thing in England.
If you watch any zombie apocalypse film, it's not the zombies that are the problem. It's the people who are alive who are. Yeah. I think that's with a stat. Yeah, definitely established that people are the issue just in general. I think in terms of the whole planet is it. I think it was Joe Rogan who said that. Compared people to this kind of cancerous infestation. If you're an alien looking from above and you saw these weird plots of grey land on the global map, if you're looking from like a satellite view and you just thought, what the hell is that? And it just we spread disease, we spread planetary disease. But coming back to Britain in terms of that, in terms of where if you look at everywhere else in the world. I'd probably go as far as Europe. Europe just doesn't have anything that. Is there any bears in Europe?
I have no idea. No, Europe does. I remember we were filming in Croatia, and our fixer, every single location we went to had a new, different, deadly animal.
Really?
Oh yeah, deadly spiders, snakes, everything. We went to like 7 different types, and every time we were there was a different thing that would kill us.
Oh, so there's something.
So there's definitely yeah.
So we'll just go Britain.
We'll just Britain. I would safely go Britain. Probably need to research that a bit more, but I would go.
Well,
we must have something that can kill us. You can be killed by like a hornet.
Yeah, but the killer hornets aren't British. They've migrated from like Japan or something like that.
I mean, look, people are dying on the coasts, on the tides, just the water.
Yeah, but it's not like
it's not something that we've.
Do you know what it is? We're digging deep for tidal. Tide's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
That's how safe we are.
That's how safe. Yeah, absolutely.
Like people to be like struck by lightning is in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think we're
Falling.
pretty safe. Do you think it's a good thing to be safe?
Well, it feels good.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Why do you do this podcast? It's been bubbling in my mind while you talk about safety. We were talking about it before, but what is it? This is therapy. This is personal therapy for you, right?
There's a every day. There's a part of every day of mine, several parts of every day where I hear something that kind of just goes, I don't agree with that, or it's kind of shitty to probably stop someone in the street and go, I wouldn't personally stop them in the street and argue with, all that stuff. Anything that kind of gets my goat, anything that kind of sparks a kind of irritation, or or the opposite, something that I just think is really good or really positive that not many people mention, or just stuff. It gives me a chance to voice my opinion on something that I don't have to kind of censor myself, and I can be myself and I can say what I need to say. And at the end of the day,
nobody fights back.
Yeah.
In terms of you can just
I don't have to
put it out
defend
there.
myself. It's quite nice.
Debate. Unless I'm here now with you, I can do that.
But I don't mind that. But like a lot of the stuff I say on this, I just say after and literally as the microphone's in front of me, I have a thought and I go, oh, what about that? And you know what? To some people there's a lot of people out there who'd hear something and just be completely outraged that they're just, there's people who, there's the people who argue with you that don't let you get a word in edgeways, or have such an opinion on it that your opinion couldn't sway them regardless. Even if you disagree, even if I disagree with something, I always try to evaluate someone else's opinion of what they say before, or like when you're arguing, say we were arguing, you had such an opinion, such a thing that you couldn't wait to get the next thing in without even thinking about what I'm trying to say back to you.
Sure.
Not you personally, but there are people out there, and it's kind of that nice platform just to kind of sit here and just enjoy chatting to myself, I guess. But also kind of a lot of the last 5 or 6 years I've been kind of hooked on podcasts and radio shows and people's opinions that I really respect, or people's opinions that have really changed the way I've thought about life, about the world. A lot of comedians' opinions, which I think the comedy is doesn't get enough credit for how philosophical it is. Observation comedy, or just being able to tune into how you actually feel yourself, not without the processing of how you're worried about what someone will think if you voice the opinion that you actually have inside. So if I go, I actually hate X this, but if I think you're going to really take offense to that, or take not just offense but kind of some certain action about it, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that I respect everyone who's unfiltered, even if I completely disagree with them, even if I completely don't endorse what they say, because they've got the fact. Again, I can't fucking say a thing, because they've got the right. Because they've got the right to say what they have to say. I think free speech is the most important right that we as humans or as a civilization have. If you look around the world, it is a luxury, it's a privilege, and sadly I'm starting to see things chip away. I'm starting to see people get jailed for tweets. I'm starting to see people get jailed for things they say, or fired for things they say. Fair enough, fired maybe a different thing, because if you disagree with what your news presenters just said, or if he said racist comments or something, then fair enough, I think they should be fired. But I don't think it should be even death threats. death threats aren't new. I know that they're more plentiful now in social media, but they're not new. Like, and I don't think anyone who threaten, these death threats, especially now, even more so now, are less troubling, because it's just someone behind a keyboard going, I'm gonna kill you.
But hang on, when you think about that, the people who are getting those are this is what people said this to me about people who don't understand why they have to take the perfect photograph if they've got loads of followers. It's
Right.
the same kind of thing. You don't know until you have. So say you've got a couple of million people following you.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the limelight. You're out there.
Yep.
You're in such the public eye so much that when someone does that to you and tweets you saying that, you're not like, it's not just someone at the end of the keyboard. It can be very real for that person. I think that's like, because they're out there. They're so exposed that when they like that, it's things like that. I think they have to be taken seriously. You can't just be. They're so genuine, even if they're not genuine. They have to be taken that way.
Oh, because yeah.
And when people say like, what? Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
When you question why people have to have have to screen their own Instagrams and stuff like that when they've got loads of followers, is because it goes out to like tens of millions of people, and any one little thing is scrutinized and picked up and is a real genuine sort of. They've got such a following that it's like everything's magnified. Everything that goes on is magnified.
Yeah. Do you know what, you might be right. Interestingly, well, I'm going to spoil a bit of tomorrow's episode, but interestingly, I can see what you mean, because I've had about 320,000 views on this drone video that I did, that I've been speaking about, that I launched. Oh, for God's sakes! And within that, I've had hundreds and hundreds of comments of people saying that they liked it, but there's one or two comments of people that have kind of criticized it, or have said, who have kind of took issue with it, and it's those that have really stuck in my mind. Do you know what? It's nice enough hearing all the nice stuff, but for some reason all that nice stuff, you could have 3,000 comments of people saying, "Well done, love it." But you can balance that out. If you imagine a set of scales, 2 negative comments can actually weigh as heavy as 3,000 nice comments, because I think here's the thing I heard, or kind of, I don't know if it's fact or theory, but us as humans have will have a much better retention for bad experiences as good experiences, because we learn from prehistoric, or I don't know, like from thousands of years ago, when we weren't top of the food chain, we'd remember the bad experiences to learn to survive from them. So like if we made a mistake and something almost killed us, then would not make that mistake again and survive. And we were constantly building upon the negative, because I think it's a survival instinct. Whereas good things, how weird is it that you need photos in your house to remind you of the good times? Isn't that weird? But you wouldn't step foot in someone's house had you'd known that someone had died in the house. Or do you know what? We need these constant reminders of good times, photos, not just photo. Like if you can smell, you might forget something that was brilliant that happened to you, but then all of a sudden you smell something from that. Like you might smell suntan lotion from a holiday that you'd been on in the 90s, and but apparently bad experiences, they still stick with you. You're not going back to a gig. Yeah. Sure. But how many times can you remember the great times when you were?
Well, you've just backed up the point there. So you're 300 and whatever thousand. Imagine the people in the tens of millions. In the tens of millions, and people putting videos out every week that are in the tens of millions that are getting horrendous. Like that'll be the same for them. Like they'll have them. If you've maybe got 5 or 6 people who are hating on yours, or 20 or 30, imagine like having 3 or 4,000 that are viciously hating that. It has to be. I mean,
does it
has
have
to be so difficult?
Yeah, but does it have to be? Does
not
it have
about
to
the
be
quantity.
jailed?
Well,
Perfect. So you've got 4,000.
It depends what's going on.
Yeah, if it's
I
a
think
legit
it's a whole
threat.
very difficult world.
Yeah, well, I'd like
It's
to.
so
I'd
hard
like to
for
know a
people to believe.
case.
I'm
I'd
sure
like
there's
to know.
many.
I'm sure there are.
Saying your video shit is not a case worthy,
No.
of course. But saying that it's shit.
No one
and
said
you
that, by the
deserve
way.
to die. No. That's spoilers. You'll find that out in next week's podcast.
Tomorrow. Yeah, but like a KSI or something on YouTube for calling him the N word and whatnot.
Well, yeah,
it's
so
was
much more difficult.
for every 100 nice comments, you'd probably read that and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know. Like it's why. Yeah. It's why do it. There's. I think as well. I've realized that there's something about kind of people don't like other people to do well, or other people to there'll always be haters, you know. If the more, well, the famous quote of like, oh, so you have enemies, then you must have done something to I can't even remember the end of that. That's a really famous quote and I can't remember the end of it. You must have done something worthy in your life because you stood up for something you believed in. That's it. You have enemies because you stood up for something you believed in. Not everyone's going to agree with you. And if you have success in what you believed and you've stood up for, there's always going to be people who bring you down just because it's, especially social media, it's easy to just go, fuck you, and just leave it and go to bed and go to sleep overnight because you've not actually personally said, I've not personally went, fuck you, your stuff's shit. Because you wouldn't do that if someone was there. But it's so easy just to go on a keyboard and say that stuff. I don't know. Do you think social media's changed the game of life?
Oh yes. Of course.
Yeah, but like.
Here you are doing this right now.
Yeah. How social is social media? Is this social media?
I feel quite antisocial at the moment.
Do you? Why?
Because I'm stuck up in the house.
Oh. Yeah. But at least, you're not talking to yourself.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the end of it.
That's all, folks.
Right. Well, yeah, tomorrow we'll speak more about the drone video. There's quite an interesting story to go behind it. Yeah, take care. Thank you very much, Kristian, for appearing on the podcast. Hopefully this is one of a few appearances. A little round of applause.
Thank you.
And good luck with the ACL. Please
Thank you.
let us know. I'll post a nice football picture up when you're all back and playing.
Yeah, when I sign for the tune.
When you sign for the tune. And take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.